Hello, hello. Hi, guys and girls. It's so good to see all the names popping up and all the faces. This is my favorite time of the week when I get to see you guys.
Don't know.
Hi, Beth. Oh, hi, Kelly.
Hi, Brittany.
Good to see everybody. Hello.
So good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in so
I
long.
know, and I have a new business partner here, Kristen Connolly.
Hi, Kristen. How are you?
Just
How are you?
onboarded this week. This is GoGo, and this is some of our organization. Okay.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the fam.
Thank you.
Lucky Kristen.
Oh, there's Beth. Hi, Beth. We're so excited.
Hey guys, this is going to be a good one.
I cannot wait. I
I'm
figured
glad Mark is here. It's nice to have a dude here.
Well, yeah, I figured I better show up. I am very, very honored to be in the presence of all these amazing women.
Totally.
Oh, you see, you're bringing the testosterone today.
And it's not a bad view, huh, Mark?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's awesome. So, Beth, I will officially introduce you at the hour. I figured we'll give a little time and, get to know people and chitty chat.
I love it.
Let everybody in.
Hi, Taylor in Austin.
Hi.
And Carol's here. Carol, I just liked your post and I said, I'm going to be there.
Looking forward
It's
to
so
it.
nice to be faces.
Oh, Philippa's here too. Hi, Philippa.
Hi, Philippa. I have to tell you, I might be old school, but I would never show up at, well, I have actually once here when I was getting myself dressed. But I think showing up with your face, asking questions and engaging is literally why 85% of my business is
I'm a
referral.
nerd about it too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so nerd.
Because people actually get to know you. Not only that, but you actually pay attention more.
Totally.
When you know people are watching, you're not gonna go and run a load of laundry because you're gonna be like, there's 25 of them watching me run a load of laundry right now. You know what I mean? Like I have never showed up to anything with my camera off. So if that gives you any
That's amazing.
yeah, you just have to, if you decided to show up, then show up. If not, you're gonna half-ass it, then just go do something else if you're gonna be half-assing it anyway. Now, if you are driving and this is the best you can do, I appreciate you being here. But if you're not driving, put your camera on so we can hold you accountable. There's so many AIs. I feel like I need to get a full-time VA just to get the AIs out of the room.
Make me the co-host. Hello, everybody. Make me the co-host, Gogo. I can help you with that.
On it. Thank you. There you are. Okay. Okay, are we at that? Yes, you're at the hour. So everyone, thank you so much. I guess, Lindsay, you can take it from here and let people in. That would be great in the background. Thank you so much. Everyone, our guest speaker, I should say, today is Beth Manning. So we do these trainings every Wednesday at 1:00 in the Team GoGo organization here at EXP. Every Wednesday, we try to keep it production or mindset related because mindset is going to end up in production, right? And today we are going to be talking about finances and running a profitable business and knowing where your money coming from and where it's going and just, running it like a business. And Beth Manning is going to teach us today, but your credentials, Beth, have gotten a lot longer recently. So I'm going to read it if that's okay with you.
Sure.
To properly introduce you and make sure that I make sure I don't forget anything. I do want to share a quick story though, just so you guys can all know Beth's character. So the way I met her, I did sponsor her at EXP, which I'm very proud of that because she's an amazing business partner and truly an amazing realtor. I had her on a buy side. So I had a son and a mom who lived next to each other in Michigan, and they were selling and they wanted to build a new construction home in Utah. At the time, we did not have a Team GoGo agent in Utah. So I made a post on Instagram, then I'm looking for an agent in Utah. And Beth was the lucky one who got the lead. And through the process, she has given me such a detailed up-to-date report every single week under that. And I was like, who is this agent? I mean, you know, new construction takes months. So the excitement of the transaction in my mind would have wore off months ago. But Beth under that every week was just sending me a cheery update. Here's where we are. The floors are in. I was like, who is this agent? So I asked her if she would be so kind to be my business partner at EXP. And she very kindly declined me for a hot minute there for about 6 months. And she made me work for it, right? And but I'm super proud to say then about 6 months later, she did decide to bring her business over to EXP, and she has flourished. She's doing amazing. But so I'm going to read her credentials. I like to read the credentials because I want everyone to know why is she teaching today, right? We always want to know. You always want to take advice from people who've been there where you want to go. One of my favorite saying is, don't ever ask a broke friend how to make $1 million. They're going to tell you can't, because they can't, right? So we always take advice from people who are really good at what they're teaching us. So Beth has been in real estate for 6 years. She is a 6-figure plus earner year after year. 85% of her business is referrals. I don't know if you heard that. 85%, which means out of every 10 deals that she does, it was referred to her by a past client, by a Team Go agent, by an EXP agent, by someone off of the internet. She does take care amazingly of her clients. And because of that, I'm sure many of those referrals are also returning referrals back. I'm sure agents just refer you over and over again. She built an organization at EXP of 33 agents. She is a certified mentor at EXP Realty, which means that she gets to train new agents. And that's also another source of income for her. Creator of Ladies and Lattes of the Utah chapter, which is a women's networking group over 250 people. With the principles from Profit First book, added additional revenues to her household. So today she's going to be covering the Profit First. I think you can, she just held it up for a second.
I can't see it.
Yeah. She built a studio basement apartment for additional revenue source, and also purchased a home in Tuscany region of Italy. Yes, you heard it right. She owns a second home in Italy and spends month there every single year. Married to her hubby, Paolo, that we call the Italian stallion because it has a very nice catch. And her goal, she didn't put it in here, but her goal is to retire the Italian stallion. Yes. So she's working on that very hard. She enjoys veggies and gardening and her chickens, and you guys can see all of that on Instagram, and her Instagram is Realtor Beth Manning. Correct, Beth? Okay.
Yes.
And who is Ducci? Is that your dog?
Duccio.
What's that?
He's actually on my lap. The
Oh,
moment
it's your dog. I figured. Okay.
it's my little 9-pound hot stuff. He thinks he's hot stuff too, just like the
Oh,
stallion.
I love it. She's an advocate for women and women causes, and former director of business development in the software industry. So Pat has a ton of experience from corporate world, from the real estate world, from being self-employed now with, your own LLC and all that. So Beth, take the floor. And
Thank you, Gogo.
Thank you, Beth.
Well, I'm so thrilled to be here today. This is not one of the sexiest topics, but I think it's half of an equation that will allow you to put more money in your household and to really entertain the opportunity of building wealth. I think sometimes when you say the W word, people can't even relate to what that means. And so change the word to whatever you think it is. Maybe get a rental income, a rental. Maybe you just want to have, $40,000 in savings. Maybe you want something else. Identify it differently if the W word just kind of like you can't even relate to it. And I have to say, I really, really want to emphasize our community here, because when I came over, oh gosh, 3-ish years ago now, I was an agent doing 2.7 million, which I'm like, what is this? And in my first year of really showing up with cameras on, showing up, asking questions, I was at every single Wednesday production training. My first year, I almost hit 10 million in sales. So I have skills. Yeah, I have some skills. Did I plug myself in and better some skills? Yeah. Right? Was it always easy? No. But if you really want it, you show up here. And I can't scream it from the mountaintops. In fact, some of you that are already involved with us at EXP, you see me posting that in our private chat groups, like show up, like go, you know. But one of the reasons why I wanted to do today and Gogo and Lindsay, of course, Lindsay's always on ya, right, Lindsay? Hey, is because this for me is I'm training myself. Oh, we have an echo.
Sorry, I did mute her.
It's easier to do it. I've already instilled these principles and I'm good at doing it myself, but then I have to really practice the skill of teaching and training. And trying to teach a concept is really different from me just doing it. So I thank you in advance for your patience. This is Beth applying herself to a new skill of learning how to train and teach. So you do it at every point in our business, guys. Thank you for the claps. Okay, so let me share my screen and let's go ahead and get started. You know, one of the things I love about this community is that there's no judgment here. If you got a question, you raise your hand, you unmute and you ask. If you don't, you are losing the opportunity for yourself. So I want to encourage you. That's why we have this whole hour here. Okay. And I'm trying to find my presentation.
And you should have the right to share. So if you want to just open it in the background, so get out of Zoom, go to your Chrome or whatever you have stuff open it first, and then come back and do a share. It's easiest.
Okay, here we go. Voila, we're on, people.
Woot, woot.
Okay. So, you know, Gogo's kind of already went over my bio. I'm not going to revisit it again. I would just say one of the interesting things for me is because of learning some principles in the Profit First book. I hold it up, but it just covers my, oh, there it is. By Mike Michalowicz. I've been studying this the last 3 years. And, you know, I was at a point where I was making good money and I felt like I didn't have enough at the end. I'm like, why aren't I further ahead with my finances? And so I really drilled down and really decided to commit and put some systems and some energy into that because I was not at a place in my life as a woman in her later 50s. I'm not at a place in my life where I have a crap ton of time to put this into place. I'm like, I got to do it now. And so I really started to drill down. And because of that, not only have I found more money in my business, which means more money in my pocket, but I've also been able to build 2 additional income sources for my home as well. So is money sexy? No. But does money make you feel at ease? Yes. Does money make you not be stressed out? Yeah. Does money allow you to live a life that you want? Well, sure. But it deserves and needs attention, right? So I know we just all came from probably a busy morning, getting up, getting dressed. Some of you had kids out. Some of you probably spilt coffee. Just, you know, God knows mornings get rolling on us sometimes. But I just want us to take a minute. And, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever really sat back and thought about what you want. Like, what do you want your business to look like? Do you want systems and ease? Do you want more money? Like, what do you want? And the very first thing I want to encourage you to do is write 5 points down. What are the 5 changes or 5 things you want for your business? You know, it's like I've said this at a couple other presentations I've done. It's like you jump in the car and you're like, let's go. And you don't know where you're going because you haven't identified your destination. So I really want to encourage you to do that. Has anyone done that? Can you raise your hand if you have written down what you really want your business to look like? Go. Hello. Anyway, I can't see all the faces. I'm so sorry if you're raising your hand.
I reverse engineer everything. I plan for next year and then I reverse engineer it down to the month, down to the week, down to the day, down to the hour of what I need to do in this moment to reach my goal for the end year. And I'm going to be doing a training about reverse engineering in the near future. So if you don't know what that is, or you would like to come to learn how to do that, just, stay tuned. I want to say it's going to be the live in Go Get Em community next month, but don't quote me on it. Just stay tuned. But it is a really important skill to learn. Number one, when you are on the hamster wheel and you're so busy just going for that next commission, you do not have time to set plan for the future, to work on your business and not in your business. So that means you have to force yourself. So if you have to put half an hour into your calendar every single week, and let's say it's 9:30 p.m. after the kids go to bed, because you were so busy all day, then let that be. But it is not a step that you can skip. If you don't force your brain, if you don't stop to just figure out what the heck do you want, then your internal GPS, which by the way, we all have one, cannot possibly take you somewhere where you don't even know where you want to go. And sometimes we don't stop because we don't want to be faced with reality. We don't want to see how far off we are from the goal that we actually want. And also because sometimes we don't want to disappoint ourselves when we set a goal and then we just lollygag through the next 6 months and we don't actually get it done. So those are some of the reasons why we don't plan. And I don't want any of you to be in that situation. It's just, you are who you are, you know yourself, you know your character, you know your work ethic, set goals that you know you can reach. Don't set it too low, because then it's easy to reach and you're going to be like, well, I did it, right? Don't set it too high where then you can't high five yourself and you disappoint yourself because you set such an unrealistic goal. So what I mean is, if you made $50,000 this year, don't set a $5 million goal to make next year, because you don't have the people, you don't have the resources, you don't have the systems, you don't have the automations, you don't have what it takes from 50,000 to 5 million. But I also don't want you to set a goal where if you did 50,000 this year and you're going to do 55 next year, because you're like, come on, that's not even one transaction. Like, you can do better than that, right? So I want you to be honest with yourself, where you at and where you want to go. And then I'll teach you in a couple months here how to reverse engineer it.
I love that. I need to revisit that one again. I think all of us need to revisit that. That is part of the equation of success. And anyone like GoGo that we have in our organization, I bet you they have a roadmap to where they want to go. So just taking a minute to identify is the very first step for you. Here we go. So here's the thing, guys, in our business. We do a lot of front loading, what I call. We front load, right? We are working so hard. We just sales, revenue, what can I do? And then under that, well, there's open houses and this, and then right? We front load so much at the beginning of building our business, which is awesome. But at the end of the day, that is half of the equation. The other half is when we get everything in our funnel, when we're closing, we've got these revenue checks, right? We've got to learn how to manage that money. And I think, again, I was one of those where you're just like, yeah, whatever, I manage my money. I know how to do it. No, you really don't. Because if you did, you probably wouldn't be here unless you're just here to support me. And interestingly enough, I reached out to some very successful people in our organization. I wanted initially this to be a panel. And the people that I thought were killing it, they just weren't confident in their money management skills, which blew me away. Wow, I thought that was crazy. So the first half of this, growth and sales, are super important to our business, right? To living the life we want, but it's only half of the equation. This is exactly what half an equation looks like, right? The top load, the front part, the guy's killing it. He's got every muscle worked out. He knew exactly what he wanted to build, and that bot is looking good. What is going on with those legs? Has he ignored it? Is he not committed to it? Clearly, he's not putting attention. That's what half an equation looks like. And to be more profitable in our businesses isn't always more revenue. It's paying attention to the last half of that equation. And so profit, the meaning of profit is to obtain a financial gain. Profit, right, is to obtain a financial gain. And currently, our model that we've been taught for years and years in business is the sales minus all our expenses, and whatever's left over is what I get to keep, what I get to use. If that isn't being reactive, then I don't know what is. And what Mike Michalowicz talks about in his book, Profit First, is a very different scenario. So what this is going to require from us is really stepping back, not being reactive and quote unquote just busy in your business, but to step back and quietly think about your business. And let's think about some ways to change that so you are more profitable. So our new model of running our business is different from our first model. Our new formula, this is going to be tough. Sales minus your profit equals your expenses. Can you guys wrap your mind around that one? Yes, Carol, I got a nod. Mark, I love the
That much
smile.
better.
So sales minus profit equals expenses. So money in your business, guys, in our businesses, money problems occur when two things happen. The first, we probably all know well too much. When sales slow down, right? When sales slow down, when we're in a slump, we're not getting deals closed, that's a money issue that affects us. But on the flip side of that coin, when sales speed up, that's a money issue too. You know, maybe some of you would have had a freaking killer quarter, big deposits, big commission checks. Feels great. You're like, oh my God, thank God I'm catching up financially from the bad quarter I had last quarter, right? But really that's irregular. That's not consistent, most especially if you're a solo agent like myself, right? The problem is we need consistent incoming cash flow. And generally speaking, what happens when your sales speed up is your expenses do as well. Maybe you're hiring people to help you. You know, maybe there's other programs and systems that you need, but that generally happens. But in this particular scenario, guys, this is all revenue focus. This is a revenue focused problem. But we want to be profit focused. So here's the thing. I feel like this is, at least for me in these last few years going through this book and some of the exercises, it's almost like I had to dislodge my head, turn it around and put it back on. Well, now I'm looking at a different perspective. I'm looking out the back. But this has really been an exercise in living and comprehending my revenue in a different way, which has allowed me several benefits that Gogo had gone over earlier with my properties and other income now. But, you know, sustainability, you know, sustainable profit is all about efficiency and systems and commitment and attention. You know, I think there's a saying, I don't know exactly how it goes, but where your attention goes, grows, or where you put your attention grows.
Where attention goes, energy flows.
Say that again.
Where attention goes, energy flows. Tony
Where
Robbins.
attention goes, energy flows. Okay. Yeah.
Where you put your attention is where you're going to put your energy, right? So if you keep thinking about what you need to be doing in the positive way, instead of thinking about the lack of what you don't have, right? That's where your energy is going to end up going. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, I put it in the comments, what I call the real estate roller coaster, right? So what happens is that we work so hard to get these leads, right? We work, we lead generate, we do open houses, we make phone calls, we do social media posts, blah, blah, whatever that you do, right? And then you're going to end up with these 10 clients. And now you're so freaking busy with the 10 clients, then your head is spinning. And now you cannot do lead generation anymore because you have to take all your time and energy to invest into these 10 clients. So then you get to the closing table and the final walkthroughs and you start collecting your commissions, and finally you're like, oh my gosh, so excited, I made all of this money. And your next morning you're like, shit, I'm unemployed. And I have nothing, and I have nothing in the pipeline. And that is the true definition of the real estate roller coaster. And that's what every agent does at first. This is why you have to learn to work through those times. This is why you still have to figure out how to show up to every training. This is why you still have to update all of your trackers. This is why you still have to have meetings with your CPAs and bookkeepers. This is why you still have to put away 10, 20%, whatever tax bracket you fall into. This is why you still have to pay your credit cards on time. This is why you still have to do all of those things, because if not, you're going to be riding a roller coaster for the rest of your life. This is why commitment, putting things into your calendar and getting it done at the time that you said you would, is the number one most important thing. Because if not, you're cheating yourself. You guys, I am more than happy to show you my calendar. I do the same boring shit day in and day out, even long after I lost the excitement of doing it. Because if not, what I hate, I guess the question is, which one would I hate more? Do I hate more the boringness of doing the same thing over and over again? Or do I hate more the real estate roller coaster? I hate the roller coaster more, right? So you have to pick your heart. Which one is your heart? Either way, hard. Life is hard. It's not easy for anyone. Which heart do you prefer? I went off the roller coaster because my bills, somehow these companies figured out how the heck to hit my account every month on the 15th. But I didn't figure out in real estate of how the heck do I get a commission every month on the 15th, right? This is why we have to be so good at the back end of it, because you could be, there's a term for making all of the money but still being poor. I can't remember what the terminology is, but I remember, for example, when you sell houses to people and they bought this like 5,000 square foot house, but you know that they won't be able to afford pizza, right? That's the term that I'm talking about. Like you could be making, and I've been there, guys. I've been there where Dwayne and I made $430,000 and we were $89,000 in credit card debt. And I was like, how the fuck, excuse my French, do two grown-ass adults figured out how to make $500,000 almost, but we cannot figure out the back end? Where is it going? How come $500,000 is not enough? Not that it's not enough, you're negative 89,000. This is why the front end is just as important as the back end, because if you don't figure out the back end, you're going to be chasing the next commission until those cows come home, and you're going to be 67 years old and sitting on open house just so you can get that next commission. And raise your hand if any of you, that's what you want from this career. Anyone? No one. Okay, good. So we are all heading to the same direction, but I do want you to sit down and figure out what is your relationship with money, because that's what it all ties back to. So I come from Eastern Europe. My parents never talked about money. There was never enough money. I could never go anywhere because we didn't have enough money, right? That was always the answer. We don't have the money. So I can't learn. How are they going to teach me how to be a millionaire? They can't. They don't know how. So which means I have to go and study it. So you know your relationship with wherever you are in your finances, and that part, as ugly it is, or as clean it is, or as amazing it is, you might have been brought up by parents who did a fabulous job and your finances are like, congratulations. If not, just like anything else, we're going to have to study. And we're going to have to figure out where are those holes in our buckets, right? As Beth described it, imagine having this 5-gallon bucket and you keep filling it at the top and there's holes in the bottom. You're like, am I ever going to catch my tail? Is it ever going to be full? That's why you have to figure out where are those holes that we have to plug in. And we all have different holes based on our upbringing, our mentality, our skills, our trackers. Do you have bank accounts? Do you have, do you put money away for taxes? Do you have business credit cards? Do you commingle money, your personal and business? Like there's so many different things. This is why we have to learn money.
Yeah, I think that is so awesome. It's like, I think there's two big holes that I see anyways in real estate agents, is they don't invest in their skill set. A lot of people just don't have some of the skills. And the second is managing their money. I don't care if you're getting a $2,000 commission from a rental. You've got to have a system and know what you do with that $2,000. It shouldn't all sit in one account and you take it as you need it. You know, we want to pre-program our brain of what buckets. How do you divide that revenue that comes in? And profit is actually going to be a piece of that I'm going to show you. And honestly, I didn't really get all fired up about money until about 3 or 4 years ago. And I think it's because I'm just like, holy shit, what am I doing? I'm just screwing around here. And then I started to get pissed off at myself. Like, I'm too smart to not really get this thing moving. And then all the trainings I've attended, all the things that I've learned here, and all of our other upline stuff, I'm like, yeah, I deserve to be that too. Let's roll. So one thing I really want to tell you is that profit isn't something that should be once a year. Right. Some of us that come from corporate events, or maybe your accountant encourage you to take your big profit one time a year. You know, what Mike Michalowicz teaches in Profit First is no, profit happens today, you guys. It happens now. We're dislodging our head, turning it around. And we're going to start thinking of our business as a profitable business. And profit must be really baked in to your mindset. I want you to stop talking about deals and revenue and talk about profit. I want it to be in your business plan. So again, the old model is sales minus expenses equals profit. I get the revenue. I got all these deals. Oh, I'm paying all these people. Oh, I got extra money. Maybe I want to pay for that and do that now. Oh, I only have, $600 left over. Crap, is that all I have to live with for the next 6 weeks? No. The new model in Profit First is your sales minus your profit equals your expenses. And what that's done for me and my family is I feel such a relief and I feel protected. I'm good for a few months. If I don't get any deals, actually, I'm good. Do you know the sigh that comes out of one's body consciously or unconsciously when your adrenals aren't all flared up because you're running reactively to your next deal? It's going to be okay. Freedom. I mean, Paulo and I do much more traveling now. Again, with this model, we found more money in our business. Confidence. I'm in control. We are in control. We're not reactive. And you started taking a proactive approach. All right, so what does this whole concept mean? Let's really break it down and show you what it means. So every commission is divided into separate buckets. I want you to pretend you have 4 buckets in front of you. Right? After each closing, you are allocating a specific percentage to each of these buckets. And the buckets are identified as this. I put my taxes first. That's the first thing I always transfer over. I think with my middle class upbringing, I just have a fear that I will never have enough. So I make sure I allocate taxes first. Second, what I've learned is I make sure I pay myself second. Third is I pay a profit. And then fourth is my expenses. So let's break this down a little more. I know these are kind of different concepts here. So basically, we have several accounts in our banks. One is a tax account. And we're saving for taxes to avoid scrambling. Right? We're being proactive. Our second is our owner's pay. That's your salary. That's what you need to live. The third is your profit account. Guess what, guys? That's your reward because you're taking a risk, right? You're doing things the right way. And then operating account is just those damn expenses that are always there. Those should actually be paid for.
Can
And
I add on?
Yeah.
So in your tax account, guys, do you even know what tax bracket you fall into? So if I ask you right now, based on your income last year, if you don't make more than you made last year, what's your tax bracket that you fall into? What percentage? should you be putting away? Do you even know that? Let's see. Kendra, 32%. Good job, girl. Jacqueline puts 30%, Mark puts 35%. But the question is, do you need to put that much? Or are you just putting it away because someone told you put away 35% and you just took their word for it? Can I share my screen, Beth, for a second?
Yeah, hold on.
Need a
Go
good
for it.
accountant. Tara, message me on Instagram and I'll give you mine. Okay, you ready? Here's how you do it. And guys, this is my disclaimer. I'm no CPA. I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about half the time. But I found this thing. It's called Google. Have you heard of it? Okay. So then I went to Google and then I put in tax brackets for 2024 and voila, it gives you an image. So depending how you file taxes, if you file jointly versus filed separate or single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, or head of the household. So Dwayne and I filed married filing jointly based on the amount of income that you made. So if you made between 23,000 and 94,000, you fall into the 12% bracket. If you made between 94,000 and 201, you fall into the 22% bracket. If you do if you made between 201,000 and 383, you fall 24%. The 383 to 487, 32%. And 487 to 731 is 35%. So now my question to Mark, Mark, do you make, you don't have to answer it if you don't feel comfortable answering it, but do you make between $500,000 and $700,000 a year?
Well, I'm in Canada, so our tax brackets are very different. Very different. Yes, we pay way higher taxes here.
Oh, okay. I forgot about location, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in the US, these are the brackets. But also keep in mind that you don't pay 35% on the whole amount. You pay 35% above 500 to 700, right? So depending how much money you made, these are the brackets. But it's important to know what the brackets are, so then you know you can anticipate what percentage to put away. So let's say if you made $100,000 last year, right? And you anticipated, okay, I'm going to put away, less than 20%. But let's say we are 6 months into the year and you are already making 250. Now that's a different percentage, right? Because you're going to close out the year at a much higher amount, which in the US, it's also a much higher bracket, right? So that changes. This is why we need to be ahead of the game. And then even one step further that nobody taught us, at least not me, and it took me years to figure out. I'm like, okay, how come all of these rich people, how are these wealthy people don't pay taxes? And don't get me wrong, they pay a lot. It's just different type of taxes, right? But how come they don't end up paying income taxes? There was a year, guys, who paid over $400,000 in taxes. I was like, okay. And I ended up taking less money home than I did the year before when I doubled my income. Right? So I was like, okay, something's wrong. I worked twice as hard, made twice the amount of money, ended up pissing it out on taxes, ended up taking home less money than I did the year before. Then what's the point of working so hard? Right? So then the next step we have to figure out is where to invest it so you don't end up in that high tax bracket. So now, even though I'm in the highest tax bracket, we actually got money back last year, guys. And I was like, is this legal? Because orange is not my color. Or I don't like orange suits. It's not my favorite color. Is this legal? So that's where someone asked me that you need a good CPA. It is just as important of understanding how much money to put away. It's just as important to have a team who can tell you what to do with that money. And I want you to have, so if you can put that back on the screen, because I had a little bit of a.
Which one? Oh, hold on.
The bullet points. So when you're starting making, I would say when you start making close to like 200 or 250, $250,000 a year, I want you to start having meetings with your CPA and your financial advisor, tax attorney, asset planner. If you guys don't have a team, let me know. We can put the Anderson link in here quarterly. Why? Because what most people do, oh, it's the end of the year. Okay, let's see how much I'm going to owe. And you're going to have a meeting end of November. And then your CPA is going to tell you, you owe $170,000. And you're going to be like, where am I supposed to pull that out of? Right? So by that time, it's too late. By that time, you don't have enough time to invest into real estate. You don't have enough time to close on the real estate property. You don't have enough time to write it off in that year. So now if your business is growing faster than you were anticipating, right? Because if you're kind of doing what you did last year, you know what you're going to owe, unless you had a bunch of extra expenses and stuff like that. If the business is the same, you're just anticipating that it's going to be something similar. But if your business starts doubling and tripling and quadrupling, you have to have quarterly meetings to plan for that growth so then you don't end up with a huge tax liability. Make sense? So I would say that's probably the most important. The owner's pay, we did a training not long ago. If you are not an S corp where you actually draw a salary, that is probably the number one and first conversation you need to have with your CPA. Most realtors are just a simple LLC, and then every income that hits that LLC, it's considered income to you. So you claim it on your income taxes. If you turn your company into an S corp and you draw a salary, so you employ yourself, so instead of making all $400,000 and having to pay income taxes on it, now you draw $100,000 salary, so you're going to pay income taxes on the salary, and then the $300,000 would be, and your CPA will tell you what percentage you would be paying taxes on, but it wouldn't all be considered income. So again, I'm no CPA, I'm no financial advisor, I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about. Consult a professional, but these are my 2 cents, okay? The profit account, your rewards, absolutely. You work harder when you see that account growing, when you know that there's a trip to Italy in 2 months, right? You're going to work harder when you can give that dangling carrot for yourself. And the operating account, here's my question to you. If I ask you right now, what are your expenses on the home side, like at home, mortgage, car payments, insurance, all that, what are your expenses in a month? And if I ask you what are your expenses in a month in your business, that's employees, that's systems, that's apps, that's, memberships, NAR, all of that stuff, your MLS, all that. Do you know the numbers? Do you know what cost do you have at home in a month and what cost do you have in your business in a month? Because that's your base. That's your break, that you have to make that money or you can't cover your bills. So if you're shaking your head right now, no, actually, I don't know, then how can you plan for it? If you don't know what the base is, how can you plan for it? This is why it's so important to track your money. If nothing else, I want you guys to do a tracker. It can be super simple tracker. You just start an Excel sheet and start plugging in your expenses. Your Netflix accounts, your mortgage payments, your car payments, your insurance, your whatever that is, right? And then you're going to do a total in the bottom every month. And you say, oh shit, you have $7,500 a month in home expenses. And then you're going to do the same thing in your business. And you're going to put in your brokerage monthly fee, your desk fee, whatever fee, your advertising fee, or whatever fees that you have, right? And then you're going to do a total. If you have VAs monthly, if you have an office that you pay for, whatever that is on the business side, right? And then you're going to have a total, and that's your base. That is you have to make that money just so you can pay your bills. And then you're going to have to add on taxes, right? So this is my 2 cents on the 4 bullet points.
And so I feel like this is glossed over when people get into business, especially real estate.
It teaches us anything.
No, this should be the very first thing as someone gets their license. I feel like the brokerage, that should be the first step. Show us your expenses.
I'm thinking maybe because failure rate is so high, 80% of the realtors don't make it in this industry. The brokers just don't want to waste their time because they know 8 of us is never going to need this information because 8 of us never going to make it.
Well, here's the thing. What comes first, the cart or the horse? Are 80% not making it because they don't understand basic business principles? Probably. That probably contributes big time.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So guys, the best part is coming up, the best. You guys are gonna be like, oh, it's going to be a mind blow. I took a picture out of my personal playbook. It's sitting right here in front of my face every single day. So hold tight. All right. Allocating your commission. So Mark, your big fat commission check comes in, right? And you're going to learn how to allocate that to certain buckets. This is how Beth allocates hers. 25% goes in taxes. 15, immediately, the moment EXP drops it in, I am salivating at my computer to do my transfers to various accounts. 40% goes to my owner's pay. 20% stays in the operational expenses. Now at EXP, we have a cap, right? So, 20% of the 15K is $3K. which means there's 12K left. We'll just allocate it that way after the 12K. 25% taxes, 15 profit, 40 owners, and 20 expenses. So here's what you've done. You have immediately secured your future. You have immediately committed your attention. You are putting your profit first. You're not paying your expenses and what do I have left? Oh my God, I only have 1,200. No, you're being proactive in your business. You're being a business professional. You're being efficient. You're using a system. You have attention. You're committed. I just want to share with you when I remember when I first started the first month or two, I was like, I allocated a little different. I was afraid, well, maybe I'm not going to have enough, and that's fine. Allocate small. But after the first 6 months, I looked at my husband who doesn't know profit sheet. He doesn't know how to open the bank account. Every time he does, he locks me out because he can't remember the passcode. But we sat down and I'm like, Paolo, look, he goes, lucky five. Like he was so excited. He goes, oh my God. I said, this is the system. This is a system that's bringing us peace in our lives. Seriously. Okay. So this is the fun part. So I'm going to get back to that. But basically what Beth has, I have 2 business checking accounts. I have 2 business high yield savings. Don't get overwhelmed. Just open up, take a breath and follow me. I have 1 personal checking account and 1 personal savings account. This is what I'm staring at in front of my wall right now. Okay. Can you guys see it? Thumbs up?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. The left side is my business banking. It's a local bank, but it's national. I can do business nationally if I need to. So you see at the top left with my flying dollar signs in pink. That's my commission that just drops. It drops into my checking account in my business, which is really just a temporary holding account. Because the moment that drops in, guess what Beth does? I am allocating it now. So immediately, and all of these accounts are free, by the way. They're all free. I am allocating 25% immediately to my high yield savings. That's HYS, high yield savings account, which is my tax account. I am immediately allocating to a business savings account. Why do I have a business savings account? Because that's my middle class upbringing that says, oh my gosh, you should have a little nest egg just in case. Okay, I'm feeding that side of my insecurity and it's okay. That's also my profit sense, right? That's the profit part. We don't touch those guys. We never touch those accounts, ever. We learn discipline, commitment, efficiency. We follow the system. Okay. I'm immediately, Beth has kind of created something on my own. Immediately I transfer, I just have a number, $500 every commission to this account, which pays for my VA. And you get several in a month and it just builds up. I always want to be months and months ahead, again, in case something happens. And it's okay to alter this to suit your needs. And then I'm leaving 20% in that holding account, 20%, because that holding account is my operational account too. Now you see that cute little arrow that goes to the right? Then guess what? I write myself a check. I'm old school girl, and I go deposit it into my personal account at my local credit union. That's my 40% pay. Then I can do whatever the heck my husband and I have decided to do. Out of that pay, I fund my Roth IRA every year. We travel. Out of that pay the last few years is how we strategically chose to remodel our basement, which has outside access, to generate income for ourselves as we age. Out of that account, my owner's pay is how we were able to purchase our apartment in Italy, right? And that will start generating income for us and brings us, in fact, we get to go in about 3 And I do think we have to have a Team Go-Go meeting there one day. That'll be fun.
I can't wait. I want to add on to this.
Yeah.
It's very important to have holding accounts, guys, because God forbid you get sued. If all of your money is in your business account, they can take it all. Whatever's in the business when you get sued. And at that point, you cannot take it out of the account. Like, oh, I got sued, let me take out all my money. It doesn't work like that. From the moment, if God forbid you got sued, they can take it all, whatever's in that account, because that's what the business has. So question number one, do you run business? Do you have an LLC, a limited liability corporation? Do you have one? Maybe just say no if you don't have one. So out of 68 of us, I want to see what percent. I'm going to reset the messages. I want to see what percentage of us does not have an LLC. Only comment, please, if you, oh, let's start over, guys. Hold on. Only comment if you do not have an LLC. I just want to see what percentage of us.
And it's okay. This is your moment to be truthful. You're here to confront things and learn things and get better at things. So there's no embarrassment if you don't.
Exactly. And also, I know, Philippa, if I remember correctly, I think you're in Canada also, right? So I don't know how it works in Canada. I'd be brutally honest with you guys up front. Okay, so it seems to me that about 20% of the group does not have an LLC. I would start with that. Because what a limited liability corporation does, it limits the liability on you personally. Right now, if you don't have an LLC, you take full liability for everything that you are doing. So if God forbid you get sued, they can potentially sue you for wrongdoing as a human, not just as a realtor, right? They can come for everything. So I would start with the LLC if you don't have one yet, okay? Then you can go into iBank with Chase. You can go into Chase or any other bank. The reason I personally chose Chase or this, I want to be able to do personal and business under one login. Because with my kids and our million bank accounts and, you know, all of these transfers, it was nearly impossible for me to go from a business account to my kids, you know, my kids' accounts and vice versa. So I wanted to be able to transfer money easily. And I wanted to be able to see all my business accounts and all my personal accounts under one login. And Chase allowed us to do that at the time. This is years ago when we switched over to Chase. After that, you need to open, so as soon as you have your LLC, you need to open a bank account for that company. And then you also need to open a credit card for that company. And Chase at the time, I don't know now, but Chase at the time when we started gave us 18 months, 0% APR. So that means then I could borrow the bank's money for free for a year and a half. Year and a half will teach you how to be really good at paying your credit card back on the 1st and the 15th, 1st and the 15th, 1st and the 15th. I have an 810 credit score, so does Dwayne. We pay our credit cards the 1st and the 15th, 1st and the 15th, 1st and the 15th. Even though you're really only supposed to pay it once a month, to have really good credit, I recommend for you to pay it twice a month. The 1st and the 15th is, in my mind, is the 1st I'm paying your credit card. So the other reason why there is a thing that's called the corporate whale. That's what protects you under that liability under an LLC. If you commingle money, if you commingle personal with business, that is the first thing that cuts your corporate whale. Then if you get sued, you are not protected. So you cannot use a personal credit card for your NAR monthly payment. You can also not use your business credit card for groceries. The first thing that's going to cut it if you commingle money. So you have to have personal debit, business debit, personal credit, business credit, and just have it like I have this little wallet thingy that attaches to my phone. So if I lose my phone, I pretty much lose my whole life. Right?
Yeah.
But I have a business credit card, a personal credit card, a personal debit, and a business debit, and my ID in here. So I always have it all. So if you're at a grocery store, I'm taking out I like to use credit for everything because we did become really good at paying our credit cards the 1st and the 15th, the 1st and the 15th. The reason why I fly for free, I flew 24 times 2 years ago. I bought one ticket and I flew first class all year. And I paid for one ticket. The rest I all bought on points. Because that's the other thing. Wealthy people never, ever, ever use their own money. But in order to do that, you have to be really good at the back end at paying it off. Right? So if you already know you have the money, because you're really good at allocating all of these money in the different accounts, and then you set a reminder for yourself to pay your credit card the 1st and the 15th, always use credit. Because that $393 that you just bought groceries on, that's 393 points, right? And guess what? My son, who's probably going on his 17 AirPods, guess how I do it? Every time he loses one, I'm like, whatever, it's 350 points on Chase. So then I just go to Chase. By the way, Chase has a relationship with Apple. So I just log into Chase. I go to my benefits, to my points, and I go to Apple, and I got AirPods for free. This Mac that I'm on, which is a giant Mac computer, like, I don't know, big, right? I literally paid $0 for it. I bought it on points, even though this would be a business credit. So if you can charge it, but I had so many points, I was like, it's just silly. So here are my 2 cents on this one. Do not commingle money. Have an LLC to protect yourself. Have a bank account for the LLC. Have a credit card account for the LLC. And then allocate all of your money. Do not leave it in one account, because if you leave it in that business account and God forbid you get sued, they take it all. You don't want that.
That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we've done some training on this before, but gosh, maybe another, maybe just diving into this one other time. I just feel like once a year, this stuff is always helpful. And guys, I mean, again, this is the second half of the importance of you keeping your money. We don't work so hard just to freaking throw it out the window and not have it in our pockets and feel secure. And, that's not the way to manage your life. But I would like to get, since I see all the beautiful faces, I would like to just understand from a raising your hand perspective. Is this idea new for anyone besides me? No. Allocation, paying profit first. Yeah. Okay. So the majority of you did not raise your hand, except for me and Mark and Taylor. And Lizzie I think had a finger up. I wasn't sure. and Deanna. Hi,
The
Deanna.
profit first is new.
That's the piece. Okay. So do any of you not allocate now? Zero judgment. Raise your hand if you do not allocate. Thank you for being honest and sharing, Tara, Deanna, Leslie. Okay, Lacey. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think if anything, that's going to be your homework. I want you just to marinate in this concept this week. I'm going to just share one more slide. And I just want you to, your action plan is to start setting up your accounts. I can tell you, those that were honest and raise your hand, I promise you, you will feel a sense of relief once you start, let's say after your third time doing it. You will see things build. You will feel a sense of security. You feel like you understand what the hell you're doing.
And it
Right.
feels so good when you see the money. I just can't tell you, I've been broke for so long. that one of my biggest fears is being broke ever again, right? So I work so hard not to ever be broke again. But it just feels so good when you have your shit together and when you can see it, right? When it's right in front of you. And I know it's like, it's when you don't have, like, guys, let me show you these shelves behind me. Okay, so you see all of these black books over there, those are all companies, all operating agreements, all of that. Up here, same thing on this side over here. I didn't, right there, I have to point backwards. So I did not do this on my own. I did not do it in 1 year. Like, this is years and years and years of work. So if you're like, holy shit, I don't have any of this, like, where do I even start? And that's where people go into analysis paralysis of like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Right? Well, then just, do you know how to eat an elephant? Who can tell me how do we eat an elephant? And an elephant is the largest animal on earth. How do we eat an elephant?
One
bite at a time.
Yes.
One bite at a time, right? So don't be too hard on yourself. Nobody woke up one day and had their life in order. Nobody. And the more wealth you build and the more revenues you get and the more so-said financial freedom you get, the more work it requires, because the more bank accounts I don't even know how many bank accounts do you have.
I don't even know.
Like 27 probably, if I had to pull a number, right? As you're opening new businesses, you're going to need to go to the same thing. You're going to open an LLC, you're going to open a bank account, you're going to open a credit card. You will not commingle money. Like, if our Airbnb needs blinds right now, we're not going to buy it on the long-term rental properties credit card. You can't, right? You cannot commingle. So you just have to learn it one time, and after that, just implement it. So if you don't have an LLC, start with, who do I call? You're more than welcome to use Team. Can you put an Anderson's link in here? You guys know I never recommend a company or a service unless I use them and I love them. So Anderson Advisors is the company that I use who opened all of my companies. Okay. Well, prior to my very first company, I had a few companies when I went to them, but they opened the rest of it since. Okay. So if you don't even know where to start or who can help you with the LLCs, I would start with Anderson Advisors. It's a free phone call. So you show up to a Zoom, talk to their tax attorney, tell them where you are in your current situation. They will tell you how much it would cost you to sign up with them. I signed up for the unlimited LLCs because I knew I'm going to put that to use. And trust me, I have milked that. Like I have opened so many companies since I'm with them. They're probably very much in negative with me, right? But I know myself and I know that through the years, I'm going to be opening a lot of companies. So for me, it was worth it to pay for it up front. If right now you just want to just have that one company, just pay for that one company. But they have a lot of services that they can give you. So I would recommend start with that, right? If you need help. If you think that you can just go online and open your own LLC, I did not, like, by the way, you can do that. You can go on your state website and open your own company. And in Michigan, it was like $25. I just don't feel comfortable. Where do I pull out my operating agreement? Like, well, how do I come up with the EIN number, which is your taxpayer ID number when you own a company, right? Like I'm not smart enough to do that. So I'd rather pay for someone and sleep good at night. But if you like that detail orientedness and you think you can do it, you can actually do it all by yourself. You do not need to use a company. I don't know if this applies in Canada. I don't know if this applies in all states, but in Michigan, we can. Now, none of my companies are in Michigan anymore. And there's a reason why, and Anderson Advisor will tell you why. Is because you can, so said, hide your companies and your identity. So after you have a lot of things, you don't want people to be able to look you up. So for example, let's say your child runs into someone with a golf cart and they figure out that it's your child. And then they sue you for this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that and the other companies because they can figure out everything that you own. You don't want people to be able to figure out everything that you own. So you want to hide it, right? And because of that, most of our companies, all of our companies now are no longer in Michigan. They're all in Delaware, I want to say. Okay, so that's where I would start. I would start with at least create your LLC. As soon as you have that, which shouldn't take you more than a week or two, and just do a little check sheet. Like I'm going to give you step by step now. And wherever you are in the process, if you don't have it, just write it down and just say, okay, I need to do that. So number one, if you are still self-employed, and you do not have an LLC, I would start with that. If you already have your LLC, do you have a business bank account to that LLC? So if your business is called ABC Business, do you have a bank account that's a debit bank account that's ABC Business Bank account? If you do, you do not have to do that. Next question, do you have a credit card for ABC Business? If you don't, write it down because that's your next step. Okay? Now, the next question I would have, do you have a very, very good CPA? The reason why is because you might already qualify to have an S Corp and not an LLC, or file taxes as an S Corp and draw a salary based on the amount of money that you make. So if you qualify to draw a salary, and everyone can have an S Corp from day one, that's not the point, but it might cost you more with payroll than it would cost you in taxes, right? So that's why there's a break-even point in income. So next question would be, I would talk to your CPA if you have a very good one. If not, you can message me on Instagram and I'm more than happy to give you my CPA. He's licensed in every single state. He's down here in Florida and he's been my CPA for over 5 or 6 years now. Okay. So I would start with that to see, do I qualify to draw a salary? If you qualify based on your income to draw a salary, you want to do that because you do not want to pay income taxes on the whole amount that hits your account. Okay. And then I would follow Beth's step next and open all the other bank accounts, your savings accounts, your tax account, all of those things. And as soon as the money comes in, get rid of it into multiple different accounts. You do not want it in that one business account. You want to have enough. So what I do as soon as my money comes in, I know my monthly expenses. I have $19,000 a month in my business expenses. So whatever money comes in, which my biggest income is revenue share to this day, as soon as my revenue share check hits, I leave 20,000 in there and the rest I right out of there. I actually today have holding accounts. So that's your next step, but that's like down on the road, right? You're going to have what's called a holding account where all of your money flows up to, but that holding account is hidden. Nobody knows that you even have it.
You mentioned, did you say, Beth, that the business account, you said you don't have, because my business account gets charged, so I was just wondering.
Oh, then you need to find a different, no, none of my accounts, there's 0 fees associated with anything.
Right,
and
and then
I-
I think credit union?
There is, usually the banks have rules for that. So usually
Well-
have 0 fees if you have a direct deposit, which kind of impossible for us, right? Because we don't really know when the money's coming in, right? So if you can do a direct deposit, or if you can keep a base. So at Chase, and this might have changed when I opened the bank accounts at Chase, there was a $2,000 limit. So as long as I can keep $2,000 on it, but trust me, even if you go to $1,999 for as much as 1 minute, and then you put the money in, they still charge you the 25 bucks a month or whatever that is a month. So what you need to do is, that's the next step, right? Call
Need
your
to
bank
call.
today. Call
Yeah.
your bank today and say, how much are my monthly fees? And what are the ways that I can get out of it? What are the requirements? And I don't pay that monthly. And they'll tell you it's a $2,000 or a direct deposit or a whatever, right? And then you have to figure out one or the other, and then make sure you don't get hit by those. Because think of it this way, like if I take my 27 bank accounts times, let's just for shits and giggles, do the math, 27 times $25, it would be $675 a month just to have bank accounts.
Yeah, and Carol, I would also, you know, I think everyone's at whatever level they're at, right? I would even call your local credit unions. They never charge. Again, mine's a national bank called Zions Bank. I have 0 fees. One of the high yield savings I have to keep 5,000 minimum in. Now I understand some of us might have to build up to that, but build up to that with this system.
But
Right.
at least you know what you're building towards, right? So you know,
Yeah.
okay, I have to get the $5,000 in that account, so I don't have to pay the monthly, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Right? This is why we have to do a research on everything that we do, so then we're not pissing it out at the back end.
Macy, did you want to go ahead and ask your question? I know we're wrapping up the hour here.
Yeah, so on the high yield, because I know my local bank is definitely not high yield at all. Where did you find yours?
I would just do a Google search.
Okay.
High yield savings account in your state. You know, I like to use local where I could walk in if I wanted to. I don't have to.
Right.
But I think if you're just starting, let's make it easy on you. And maybe your first one, Macy, is not a high yield. Maybe you're
It's
just
not.
saving up to a point. Maybe you're saving to your first 1,000, your first 5,000. When you get up to the 5,000, you'll probably have different opportunities that will present themselves with some of your local financial institutions.
Yeah, and I've been dispersing mine because I
Right.
followed GoGo forever, and
Yeah.
one of the videos I had remembered because they don't teach this stuff even in local brokerages, and when I figured out that I didn't want to be broke as an agent, I'm like, what do I do with this money? Because too many agents were like, oh, I got a $10,000 check and I bought a Louis Vuitton. I'm like, no, thank you.
Seriously.
So I
Yeah.
started dispersing, but then I'm like, well, but it's got to make a little bit of money here. But
Yeah.
when you start dispersing and then you go to log in, because when you're dispersing, when you put that money in and you're not thinking about it, and then you go to look and you're like, oh, wow, I have money.
It is such a
It's
good
the best
feeling.
thing ever, but I want to make sure it's making
Yeah.
money too.
Isn't that a good feeling? And
And
guys,
so-
if
Two
this
things-
was easy,
Oh, sorry, go
oh yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say 2 things I want to say before I'm done is one of the first things that Mike Michalowicz talks about is businesses that followed his plan without bringing in additional revenue found 20% more profit that they kept in their pocket. And I know it's because they were paying attention, committed, efficient, and followed a system. So imagine giving yourself a 20% raise with not bringing in any more money than you had to, number one. And number two, just for me, I just want to throw this out there and something that I've learned. I mean, again, I'm 57, guys. I haven't, I'm not just starting out in my career here. But one of the things I know from one of my other, just earlier in my years, imagine your business is like your shadow. Okay. The shadow's always following you. Here's the thing. If you're not investing in yourself, you might have a little shadow if you're not trying new things, if you're learning the first half, but not the second half. But guess what? The bigger you personally grow, your shadow becomes bigger. Your business literally follows you in your personal growth. And so I want to push you to implement this. I want to be that person that is like, oh my God, yeah, she's right. Like, just try it. And in closing for me, I just want to say, give yourself space and grace to learn new things, right? Nothing is perfect in life. Try small allocations, right? And just be good to yourself. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Beth. I have 3 things I want to mention. Number one, I saw it on your bio, Beth, on the screen, but it wasn't in your bio, the Remlo program. Do you want to explain that super quick for everyone? And I can also
Yes.
reach out to you
Well,
later.
yes, and I saw Randy Sirline here somewhere. I don't know if he's still
Yeah.
here. I am still wrapping up the last part of the Remlo program, but it's a real estate mortgage lending originator. And if you are with you're specifically with Team GoGo, we have an opportunity to make additional revenue through being kind of like the door opener. Imagine a client, you're full service agent. You are now Remlo certified. Not only Mr. and Mrs. Client, can I help you buy your house, find you a house, but guess what? I've got a team of lenders here. Let me open the door and invite you in to our team of lenders through Texana Bank. And they're going to help you get qualified. Guess what? Because I opened that door, I get a percentage of closing. And I think I saw through a post that the average profit for that is between $1,600 and $2,200 for each closing.
Yeah, so what that means is, guys, that you would also become a lender. It's a federally chartered bank, which means that they are in every single state, which means as soon as you become a Remlo, a real estate mortgage loan officer, or loan originator, whatever you call it in your state, you get to get paid on the mortgages that you generate. So think of it this way. Think of it all the buy-side transactions that you do. Let's say it's a $300,000 transaction. That generates a $300,000 mortgage, right? Minus down payment and closing costs, right? So you have been generating all these mortgages all these years. Think of all the HELOCs. Think of all of your clients that 3 years later is like, hey, GoGo, we have $75,000 equity. I think we're going to take it out and buy an investment property. Like, who do you recommend for the HELOC, right? And I would just send them back to the same lender that they closed with. Now you can become that lender. And you can get paid an additional 0.5%. I am not creating that. You're probably thinking, did she just create me a whole other job? Because I don't have time for this, right? Trust me, I did not. It's a whole team that you get. It's nothing different that you had with your previous lender where you took your potential buyer and sent them to a website, right? And then they did their application and the lender got in touch with them. It's the same thing. You are on the website because you're technically the lender, but you will have a whole team at the back end, just like you have your whole team right now, who does all of the back end, all of the paperwork, the pre-qualifications, and collecting all the data and everything that they need to get them pre-approved and get them to the closing table. But you will be able to get 0.5% on that. So our average Remlo makes anywhere from $1,600 to $2,200. And of course, this is depending on the mortgage size. So if you are in California and your mortgage size is $1.5 million for a condo, you're going to be getting way more than somebody whose average mortgage size is $300,000, right? But right now, our average is between $1,600 and $2,200 because our average mortgage that we're generating is between $275 and $325. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So that's one thing. I'm huge on multiple sources of income. You remember that real estate roller coaster that we were talking about? This is a chunk of your business. This is 0.5% that you're not getting paid now, that you're already doing the business for it. You're already doing the work. It's nothing different than what you always done. It's just we never used to get paid for it. So HUD used to have a rule where realtors could be dual licensed. We were just not allowed to be on the same file, meaning you could have been a lender 5 years ago and a realtor 5 years ago, but you were not allowed to be on 123 Main Street as the lender and the realtor at the same time. Does that make sense? Now you can. HUD changed the ruling December of 23, if I remember correctly, 22 or 23. It just took us it took us over a year to build this with the highest attorneys in the nation to figure out how to build this program, right? So now you can. You do have to disclose, of course, and you shouldn't steer. You should give your clients 3 different lenders to choose from and disclose I'm also a lender if you would like to work with me on the lending side. To be safe, I would make sure to give them at least 3 lenders to choose from, okay? So you're not steering them, because that's the first thing you learn in real estate, right, is steering. I would give them 3 lenders. I would disclose that, hey, I'm also what we call a full service agent, right? So I could always be your lender. And if they choose to work with you on the lending side as well, then you make your real estate percentage, whatever you charge, and 0.5% on the mortgage side, okay? It's not just on the transactions that you work on. You could refinance your own house. You could get a HELOC for your best friend in California. Like any, and we might not actually be in California. There are a few states that we are not in. One of them is Utah. Sorry, Beth. But it is not the REMLO program that's not in the state. It's the state that doesn't allow the realtor to be dual licensed. So some states, the REMLO program is valid in every state, but some states does not allow the realtor to be dual licensed. And there's just a handful of them. I know one of them is Utah. So if you're in Utah, I'm sorry. If you're in other states, you can click the link below and apply. So I just wanted to make sure to explain this. The next one I want to talk about, if you are with another brokerage and you don't get this type of support or this type of training, and you would like to play with the idea of maybe checking us out, team, can you please put this in the chat? The link. So the link that I'm sharing here is our Team GoGo link. You can see our credentials, you can see who we are, what we do. And then when you're ready, there's no button for you to sign up. You need to reach out to the person who invited you here today. That person is going to send you the button. Okay, so that's that. And then lastly, everything that we learned here today, if it was so simple, guys, that we could just learn it all in a 45-minute to an hour training with the Q&A at the end, wouldn't that be easy and nice? I would like, sign me up. Thank you for showing up. We should all be millionaires when we go off of here, right? No, it's a lot of work and a lot of details and a lot of things that we need to learn. This is why this is not a go get 'em pitch. But if any of you, this is why I started the Go Get 'em community, because this is what I'm passionate about. In the Team GoGo community, we do everything real estate. In the Go Get 'em community, we do everything entrepreneurial. So if this is something that you're excited about and you want to learn more, I wish I could teach you in 45 minutes. I can. There's hundreds of hours of trainings, and I put a code in here. There's no code floating around in the world, but there's a code in here. I put in 10 off. So you just go to gogetemcommunity.com and just put in 10 off if you want to become a member and learn more, because this is not a 45-minute subject. So if you're serious about learning everything that you can about finances and entrepreneurship and mindset, because mindset is 95% of our success, guys. You could have the best opportunity in front of you. If that little monkey is talking loud on your shoulder, is going to talk you out of it every time. You have to be stronger than that monkey, right? And that's mindset. So thank you so much for being here today. Hopefully you took a lot of notes. That is your homework, right? And just how to eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. So don't be too hard on yourself. Set a deadline. Say, okay, this month I have to open my LLC, right? In September, I have to have my bank account opened and my credit card opened, right? In November, I have to have all the other bank accounts opened and start my allocation. In December, I want to have a new CPA, right? Like set goals that you can actually achieve next to your hard work, because you don't want to burn out. You don't want to put it all on like, oh my gosh, I have to have this all today, and then end up burning out, because burnout is real. I've done that a couple of times. I didn't learn the first time, so I did it once again just to make sure.
You just wanted to be an expert at it.
Yeah, just so I know so I'm
She
certain
mastered
it,
it.
right? Yeah, and I don't want you guys to get there. And I don't want you guys to be too hard on yourself. Nobody teaches us this, right? Like knowledge is like you open the door and you walk in on this door and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know any of this existed. And you start looking around, you're like, wow, this is interesting. Oh my gosh, look at this. Like, who knew? And they're like, oh, there's another door. And you're going to open the door, you're going to go and you're like, holy shit, I didn't know this existed, right? So learning never stops. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
And as Veronica Figueroa says, different levels, different
devils.
It
I
never
love this thing.
stops. Isn't that good?
It's
It never
really fun.
stops. So the bigger you have, the bigger the problems, but you have more money to fix the problem with, right?
That's always
Just
good.
throw-
too.
yeah, you can just throw money at it, and 99% of the time it fixes the problem.
Yeah.
That's why we need to all make money so you can have a good life. But we have to manage that. We have to grow it. We have to save it. We have to protect it.
Yeah.
Good? You feel fired up today to get your money in order? Awesome. Beth, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. If anyone wants notes
Thank
or
you.
a copy of my whatever, just reach out to me on Instagram or Beth@BethManningRealEstate.com. Happy to share.
Yes. And on Instagram is Realtor Beth Manning, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Realtor Beth Manning. Okay, so reach out to her, ask her any questions. Again, if you want to check us out and join us in the Team GoGo organization, the link is below. Research it, and then there's no button for you to sign up, right? I want you to reach out to the person who invited you here today. They can answer all the questions. They can give you the buttons, and we would love to have you. Okay, thanks, guys. Go get it.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Beth. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Ciao, ciao.